2010, I was 2 years into my self-created business. I was somebody who wanted to document people, interview people, and put their videos on the internet. And I was making no money doing it. I was broke, but I was so happy. I was so happy because it's all I knew that I wanted to do in my life. And so I was a creative. And I knew people, and I grew up with interesting people who had done really, really fascinating things, interesting academic backgrounds, and then taken on big industries. But I always was very curious about Gautam. So I grew up with Gautam. Gautam was a few years older than me. I was a lot younger. We knew each other as family friends.
Not a lot younger.
Yeah, not a lot younger. Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. So I knew that he worked in a digital arena. I knew that their company was amazing. Who's familiar with Blast Radius here? Yeah, Blast is a pretty world-class company. We'll get into that, and we'll talk about that. But I remember the first paid opportunity I ever got in my life for the creative things that I wanted to do was given to me by Gautam Lohia at Blast Radius for Microsoft. So it's kind of full circle that we're sitting in Microsoft. What is it, like, yeah, 7 years later? Yeah. 7 years later, I created videos for Microsoft that I'm in. So if you go to Microsoft Solutions pages, you'll see me in their videos. And it was me taping myself with my single camera that I owned at that time. And I wanted to get started and just ask you first question. Tell us the transition point from, first of all, tell us what you did in university to sort of preset what you wanted to do with the rest of your life. Yeah.
I always say, you go to university for two reasons. One is to get a job, and the other is to find a partner. And so that's why I went to university. So thanks for having me, and thanks to Microsoft for hosting this event. So I have a computer science degree, and I did that at UBC, and it was very different and very similar to computer science or software development today. The similarities, I would say, back then we were talking about AI. It's really strange that universities were considering AI. I'll age myself. 20, 28, 30 years ago, and finally now it's becoming a very, very common place to use AI in the business world. So I'm a computer science guy, tech guy, very geeky, very, started my career that way, and then just continued on to different things. But
what was where was the opportunity for you to not just like take a job? Because a lot of us, this is my creative issue, and that I had was I didn't want to work for anybody. I wanted to be creative. I wanted to create something that I could control or push it and make it move. And when did you know that you wanted to take an entrepreneurial route to create a company?
Yeah, so after I graduated, I did some work. I worked for, I had various tech roles in different positions, different types of companies. Companies here in Vancouver. I actually went to Belgium for a while, and I was working for a large telco in Belgium. But there was always that sort of that entrepreneurial side that I knew I had. I started many small non-tech companies out of high school, in university, that all failed right after after attempts. I said they were all sort of like community services. I was helping the community. So when your business fails, well, you
nonprofit. They call it.
Nonprofit. Yeah. So we did magazines. I think Sharad remembers that we did a magazine for a while.
100%.
So there was always something about building new things, and I was always interested in building new things. And so after working at large organizations, which can also build new things as well, but I sort of realized I wanted to work with people, work with a team, usually a small team, and try to create something new. And that's what really got me excited. And that sort of kind of led. After I graduated and tried some different things, started in 1999 is when I met some of the Blast Radius early founders, and they were looking for sort of a tech a technology person that was also very entrepreneurial, and so I joined them.
What was the idea behind Blast? What was so people know what is Blast Radius?
So many people know Blast Radius here. How many people are in the tech community or in the digital community or kind of touch it? Okay, so digital marketing, no, marketers. Okay, so that's why many of you know Blast. So Blast Radius was a digital agency in 1999, 1998 actually, when it really started to become something. And so digital in 1999 wasn't called digital, right? Digital. What was digital called in 1999? The web, right? The internet. We were an internet agency. So there were a lot of marketing companies, but the idea for the impetus for Blast Radius was that, hey, digital is coming, and digital is going to change the world, or the internet is coming, and the internet is going to change the world. The internet is going to change how we, as people, engage with each other. The internet is going to change, how businesses ultimately interact with their customers, right? And so we saw that. We saw that very early, and so we loved this idea of building something in Vancouver that could serve global clients, right? So it was the idea of helping businesses engage with their customers over the internet, or the web, or the interweb, or whatever you want to call it. And so that was the start of it. And then we grew it around the world, and we had clients like Nike and Starbucks and all kinds of Heineken and Procter and Gamble.
Who was your first client?
Well, the first client was so this is 2000, and so the first client the first major client for Blast Radius, outside of Phil's garage in Vancouver, was Casio. And so you guys remember the G-Shock watch? So we brought the G-Shock watch to the global world on the internet, so people could really understand the G-Shock watch and how it worked through this really cool flash.
Who had a G-Shock watch?
Yeah.
I had like 6 of them. Matching the sneakers. Right?
And that kind of put Blast Radius on the global map. And it was again, back to creativity. It was a very interesting process to create and to try to bring the functionality of a G-Shock watch to life using Flash on the internet, and kind of thinking through all that. And then Nike, we did sort of the next major moment for us was working with Nike. And
Air Jordan, right?
Well, we started with the World Body, which was the Olympic Games of Sydney, and we kind of helped Nike launch a whole bunch of products, for the Olympic Games. And then we got into Jordan, and we were working with brand Jordan, and we were working with Nike Golf, and we were working with a whole bunch of companies. And so it just kind of grew from there. And so it was the first agency that sort of came out of Vancouver, became global, got known in the world, and so we had offices all around. And the great thing about sort of back to the notion of creativity, it was every day an exercise in creativity, right? It was an exercise in creating interesting things for global clients that would challenge you, and that would want to kind of compete with each other and be better than each other. And it was a creativity and just sort of building a business as well, and growing it outside of Vancouver. Who knows outside of Vancouver, sort of, or who would want to work with a little company in Vancouver? So it was really much that exercise of trying to market ourselves and get out of Vancouver. Vancouver's always had a great design community, and we knew that. And we had some great people from Vancouver that we brought on board, and there were 1 or 2 were actually the founders of the business, and then we brought on others, and they learned from these guys, and they were kind of well-known global designers. But then we actually had to scour the world to bring people, and you just show people a picture of Vancouver and what we're doing, and
it's right next to Toronto.
Yeah,
right? That's what they would say.
Before the housing prices went nuts, we're talking 2000. So we brought people from Sweden, we brought people from Japan. We identified them through the the global design community that our designers were part of, and then we phoned them up, or we emailed them, and we flew them here, and we showed them what we do. My friend Maurizio is here. Maurizio was a designer, an art director, a designer in Brazil, and we actually called Maurizio. Somebody that worked for me called Maurizio, and eventually we got Maurizio from Brazil. How many years ago? 13 years ago, to come to Vancouver. So it's very much again building a business and having great people. And when you have great people, then lots of other people are going to want to join you. And so that's what happened.
So I work. So I have a team of creative people that work for me, And then I've got an outside team like accountants and like people that I don't want to see every day. How do you in a business, a successful business, interact with the creative and non-creative to create some great products for some great brands? How do you do that?
Yeah, well, so firstly, I would say, so creativity comes from everywhere.
Yeah.
I think it can start anywhere. It's not the creative guy, or the guy in your creative team doesn't need to come up with the creative idea only, right? It's not like we tell the guy, hey, go away for a while, come back, and tell us what the idea is, and then we're going to build it, right? So it's a very collaborative process.
Yeah.
It's a very collaborative process. So you sort of bring all the people in your company, or at least the people on that team, the technology people, the strategy people, and anybody that can provide some input or provide some ideas, and you bring them together. And you pose the problem for them, and you let them brainstorm, and you let them ideate on things, and you come up with several ideas, and then you try to vet these ideas, and you see how many you vet them with your client, or you vet them with potential customers as well, sort of in a test environment, and see how many of these ideas will really resonate, and then you go from there. Sometimes you take a chance, and who you're doing it for takes a chance with you. So I'll give you one example. We were so in 2007, 2008, we were asked by Starbucks. So they were one of our clients. We were asked by Starbucks to come up with an idea for World AIDS Day. So World AIDS Day is in December, and World AIDS. They were going to partner with a group called Red. You guys know the Red group, and Red with those symbols and red. So Starbucks had partnered with Red, and for those that don't know what Red is, the idea is that you, as a corporation, you create some merchandise which you brand partially red, and then some of the proceeds of that merchandise goes to the Red campaign, which helps people with AIDS, in Africa and around the world. So started by Bono from U2, right? So they approached us, they come up with a great idea. So what else was happening in 2008? What were the major sort of tech?
The world was crashing.
What was or 2007, 2008? What were the major sort of tech things that came to be in that time? Anybody remember?
Facebook. Yeah.
Facebook, right? 2007 was the emergence of Facebook as a platform, not just for individuals, but for businesses as well, right? So wherever people are, businesses want to go to. So they came to us, and that was the brief. We just need an idea for World AIDS Day. We're partnering with Red. Tell us what to do. So we came up with an idea where we would. Starbucks had 3 drinks that they would, was the merchandise that would go to contribute for the Red campaign for World AIDS Day. And the idea was that as people went into a Starbucks, we had these big, these big standing banners with red banners, and you would buy your drink, you would get a photo, and then we would post the photo for you in a shared forum, and then we created this collage of photographs of people. That was the sort of the landing page of this campaign, this digital campaign, and then you could see, if you looked at this collage of photos, all the people that had committed to the Red campaign. So it was a very community-oriented sort of campaign, and then you could see who in your community, who in your Starbucks store, and who all across North America, had sort of committed to this campaign. So it really created. So it was a really risky idea, and we pulled it off. But what was the successful part was that we said we're going to integrate this with Facebook, and as we start posting these photos, we're also going to post something on Facebook. And little did we know that back then. This just became extremely viral on Facebook. So we ended up back then getting 300 million some odd kind of impressions for Starbucks off this one campaign. And back then Facebook wasn't that big, so 300 million was the single largest campaign that they'd ever had. So it was a very risky idea.
That's just how many selfies people took in the last hour with their Starbucks.
Yes, exactly. So now it's very different, right? So yeah.
Tell me in the transition of a business like that, a digital business, where's the tipping point that that you need to grow, you need to get more people in, and if you don't, you're not going to survive?
Yeah, well, it's so there's different types of digital businesses. So Blast Radius was an agency, and it kind of grew as its customer base grew, and so we were, just kind of monitoring what kind of customers we would have and what kind of business we would get from customers, and then we would add on staff, into the business to support the growth of the customer. So that's just sort of an operational kind of management that we sort of have to do for businesses. Now, I think what's interesting is, when you're in Vancouver, is how do you take a business out of Vancouver and grow it outside of Vancouver? Yeah. That's what a lot of people always ask me, and it's so we grew in New York. Blast Radius, we grew to New York. We grew to San Francisco. We grew to Europe, and eventually we grew to Shanghai. The current business, Apply, we started in Vancouver, and we've only kind of grown into Toronto. Now how do you get there, right? How do you get to different markets? So we always sort of let our customers dictate growth. First there was this philosophy that we're not just about Vancouver. Vancouver's awesome, but actually back in 2000, nobody really wanted to spend even $10 on digital, so you couldn't really run a business in digital marketing in Vancouver.
You'd be surprised who wants to spend $10 on digital today.
No, people want to spend a lot more now, but so we had to go outside of Vancouver. So as we got customers, such as a Casio or a Nike in Portland, and then they said, hey, we also have Nike Europe. We said, hey, we can set up an office in Amsterdam, and we're really close to you, and so we kind of grew with our clients. The other way, the other rationale for growing, we always found was talent, right? There's great people in Vancouver, but Vancouver is Vancouver, and it's limited, just like any place. So why not hire people in Toronto? Why not hire people in San Francisco? Why not hire people in in Asia? And kind of grow that way. So.
I had a conversation with Frank Palmer where we had lunch with him. Yeah. So he's the CEO of DDB Canada, another great agency. Talked about head offices. Were you guys ever compelled to put a head office outside of Vancouver? Yeah,
I think for our industry, you don't have to. For our industry, it would be New York. If you want to place a head office somewhere. But we just never felt the need for it. It was partly. We liked the creativity in Vancouver. We liked the environment of Vancouver. We wanted to keep the culture, very, very much sort of a Vancouver-led culture, and so we didn't feel the need to move. I think a lot of companies move to Silicon Valley or move somewhere else if they feel like they need marketing. I think it's changing a lot now. I think. It's very easy to be global and to get on airplanes or to collaborate with people all around the world, and people don't mind where you are as long as the work that you're doing is great. And so so I think it's a little easier for Canadian companies.
When you started with Blast, how many people did you start with?
Well, we had when I joined, I would say we were 60, 70 people.
And now, today?
Well, because let me answer it a little different.
Yeah.
Let me tell you
there was something that happened,
yeah,
right?
So Blast grew to 550 people, and then Blast exited. And so we sold it, and then the buyer didn't do a great job of growing it and keeping it growing. So it's not as big anymore. But it still exists. It's just not as large of a company. So. But it was, there's no company out of Vancouver that's sort of in the digital services or agency world that's kind of grown to that size. And so.
How did you know what you wanted to do after, and what did you do after? And why did you leave?
So while I was at Blast, I actually started Quick Mobile. Quick Mobile is a very simple business. It's so again, I started Quick Mobile in 2007. So 2007. And again, you think about creativity. We built the idea of this business, through 3 or 4 people that just came together and thought, there's a need in the marketplace for something, and can we solve it? And it was really again back to 2007. Other than Facebook, the other big thing that happened in the tech world was apps, right?
Apps.
It was the surgence of the iPhone, right? It was the first. And with iTunes, the realization that your smartphone could be much more than a communication device, right? So we saw that happening, and there was just because of a couple of founders, the other founders and myself, we found an area around events, and we built a business around mobile event software. So you go to a conference or corporate meeting and you get that brochure. Well, this basically replaces that, right? So why have a corporate brochure when everything can be on your smartphone, and so all the merits of that. So that business was while I was at Blast, and I started with a couple of other people. It still exists. It's just down here on Hastings, and it's about 100 people, and it does corporate event and meetings and things like that, and it helps organizations do it.
It's huge.
And then I left Blast, and again, the idea of creating something new with another partner just kind of came to us, and we just kind of got bored, I guess, or just wanted something to do. I like to say my wife wanted to get me out of the house because she was so frustrated with me sitting around, and in some ways it was good, but in some ways not good. So what we did with Blast was we helped global brands, but the other thing we did was we really helped people become very good at what they do. So we created great designers, great technologists, great project managers, because we challenged them with the kinds of clients. So it wasn't us. It was the fact that if you're working with Nike, you better create great stuff, right? You better stretch yourself, because there are a lot of companies that want to work with Nike, and if you're not really good at what you do, and if you're not taking them to the next level, somebody else will just come in and take your business, right? So that stretched everybody at Blast Radius all the time, and we really like that idea of me and my partner Chris Coughlin. We like that idea of, hey, Blast. Nobody's really done a Blast Radius anymore, or since we did it. So, why can't we do that again? Why can't we help people in Vancouver, just become fantastic at their craft, whether they're creative or whether they're technologists, whatever they are, just become great at their craft, and still work with global clients. So that was sort of the impetus for Apply, and Apply is a business focused on just digital products and building smart digital products, meaning products that learn and products that have some artificial intelligence behind them. And so that was the idea, and we'll see where it goes.
So I want to take just a quick transition. Then I'm going to open it up to the audience here. Is when you think about the word creative and people who are from the creative fields, and you're looking at a talent base of different varieties, whether it's UI design or it's videographers or whatever it may be that to get you the final product. What is it that was the formula to get the best people?
Yeah, I think we always look for the soft skills are very important. So people will be great at something that they do, right? And that's awesome. You'll have a resume and a portfolio. But we really look for simple things such as collaboration. How good are they at collaboration? How good are they at communication? Can they explain their ideas properly? We look for, can they take feedback without getting pissed off, right? Because a big part of coming up with great ideas is to be able to take that hit that, hey, my idea isn't that great, right? So, can I take some feedback? So we really look for those soft skills, around collaboration, feedback, teamwork. We look for brain power, of course. So that's it doesn't matter what field you're in. Those things really are critical if you want to work in a company now. Because you're collaborating with everybody. You're collaborating with your internal team. You're collaborating with your own team, which could be your design team. You're collaborating with other types of skills and people in your company. You're collaborating with clients. You're collaborating with partners, right? So you want those soft skills, and people understanding how to work together.
Okay. Yeah. So right now, that sort of segues the idea that yes, we're all working in very different industries. Some of us would classify ourselves as creative. Some of us might not. Some of us might say we're technologists. Some might say, we're none of the above. We have, have a job, and this is what I'm doing, and this is where I'm going. But I feel that we have an opportunity right now to talk to people about the idea of creativity in business. A lot of the people that I invited tonight, I did by design. I did it by the aspect of saying, I want creative people here from the culinary arts. I want people here from who are artists. I want people here who are digital artists. I want people who are UI designers. I want people here who are expanding maybe a department within their organization that might be creative. And because what I'm realizing more and more as I talk to people, as I interview people, and I document such incredible, interesting people with so much knowledge, so much experience, is that they said to me, after the material stuff, all you have is experience. right? After you buy something, it's there, you want a new one. But that experience that you had, or you have, or you're having, you'll never replace that. So invest in experiences, keep creative. I want to thank somebody who's like, you know, just sat here and just given me a glimpse of his life. He's a father, he's very busy, he's a technology leader, and I know that, you know, whatever he's given us today is just a morsel of what he's about to experience, and he's teaching others as well, and they're teaching him. So I want to thank Gautam, first of all, for being here. I'd love everyone to meet each other, mingle, and thank you again for having us here together. Thank you.